Hello, my name is Roberto Espinal, and this is my video assignment for week 2 of EDU-330, and I'll move on to the first discussion point, which is to describe 4 personal virtues that I believe I possess from each of the domains, being moral, civic, performance, and intellectual. And for the moral virtue that I believe I possess, it is respect, because I know it is necessary to cultivate respect in any successful relationship and for it to be long term. The second is the intellectual virtue, which is curiosity. I try to be a very curious person and to learn all kinds of things, especially when it is something that I don't know much about or don't really agree with. I know that as an educator, it is my responsibility to be a continuous learner throughout my life. The performance virtue that I have is resilience, and I believe it is one of my strongest virtues overall because there have been several things I've gone throughout my life that have made me a stronger person and have allowed me to move on better than I was before. The final virtue is neighborliness, and volunteering. Those have always been very close to me because as a member of a rural community, we are very close to our neighbors who can live, very far at times. It's our responsibility to be aware of how they're doing, to make sure how they are, and to give them any help with anything they need, whether it's fixing a fence or any part of their property. It's something that has become a part of our lives being here in Arizona. Now, for the next discussion point, we have to discuss how each of the 4 virtues will help you in creating an inclusive classroom. So respect is necessary to be understanding of anyone's different backgrounds, how they grew up or where they come from. It is without respect, you may risk being rude and disrupting the learning process of a student. Intellectual virtue, with the curiosity, is leaving me open to learning and understanding new things about my students, to be open to understanding their cultural background and to learning as much about it so that way I have all the material I need to make sure they have the materials to learn. Resilience is important in teachers because they need to understand that their students will have a hard time learning sometimes, and it's important to show strength and courage while you learn new things with them so that way they can feel that same strength when they're learning something that's giving them a hard time, so they have the power to push through. The next is community. Teachers are members of a community. They're not just someone who exists only in a classroom. They have a responsibility to be aware of the issues surrounding their students outside of school and doing what they can to advocate for their needs and what students are missing out of that can contribute to them being getting the most out of their education and the benefits of their community. So the next discussion point is to discuss the most important virtue for being an educator, the most critical out of these virtues that we discussed here. And again, respectfulness is very important in education because teachers and students are people, and we need to remember our inherent value in each of us. That allows us to use the respect of being an educator wisely and with compassion towards our students, that we do not become sort of authoritative in our classrooms where students are not necessarily encouraged to learn, but they feel more discouraged in that sense. The next is resilience, and it's important for teachers to show resilience because in my personal experience, when I knew that my teachers really believed in my ability to move forward, even when I was really struggling, especially in mathematics, I always had a teacher who really made me feel confident in my abilities, and I really wanted to learn what she was discussing in the specific topic because I knew because of her I could make it through. So it was something I want to incorporate into my own teaching. So the next discussion point is to discuss what character formation means to me. And my formation comes from several sources, including the Jubilee Center for Character Education from Cambridge University. And it begins with character formation is a process where an individual interacts with their environment, develops stable patterns of functioning, thinking, and feeling. Factors in one's environment contribute to the formation of the character, such as their difficulties or struggles of a person, leading to them becoming more resilient or perhaps even weakened from certain scenarios. and religious background and culture also influence one's character formation. Finally is to explain, oh sorry, next is to explain the strategies that I will use to foster character formation in my classrooms. So one thing that I've noticed, and one thing I participated in as I attended a middle school, or my final year of middle school, was a project to commit to some kind of volunteer work. So that's something that I want students to do as well. I want students to learn the value of giving back to their community, especially because communities offer them so much opportunity. It is their responsibility to feel they need to upbuild others who are in less fortunate situations as well. The next would be to enact certain parts of being what it is to be a citizen, which could be acting out court situations in civic or history or government classes, training them to understand the role of being a judge or things of that nature in their community. Finally, what are the specific research tools or resources that I would use to further my own character development as an educator? And considering what I learned from the Jubilee Center for Character Education, I believe this source would be primary for me in my own character development, considering their dedicated research to character formation and what I've researched about them as I looked into research for this assignment. I really learned a lot about character formation, and I believe it's something that is useful for me.